loving like some worn out shoe. So I'm lost in the wilderness. What can I do? All I know is...
I am so excited to be interviewing Fred Penner. For those that don't know him, I kind of consider you a Canadian icon. So, Fred, for those that don't know you, tell me a little bit about your story. You're Fred Penner from Canada, but those that might be looking at this internationally, who are you?
I am a father. I am a father of 4. I am a musician. I've been making my career as a performer for 45 years. I began in 1972 when I started trying to find my bliss and discover what life had to offer me, and music was the only thing that made any sense to my world. So I started playing lounges and bars and connecting with friends and doing a number of groups, and that just kept unfolding, and different connections would happen that ultimately led to recording my first record called The Cat Came Back, which is sort of has become my signature tune. Mm-hmm. And then 5 years later, CBC Television, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation in Canada, they called me and asked if I would do a TV series. And they had no concept, but they liked what I was doing as they followed my career across the country. So it was put into my lap to what I wanted to do, and I came up with the concept of a journey to get to a place called Fred Penner's Place, and the entry was through a hollow log, mm-hmm. which became sort of a magical, physical, metaphysical kind of thing that would allow the audience into this natural environment, with logs and different levels of trees, etc. And there we would share songs and stories and thoughts and feelings, and occasionally a bird known as Word Bird would send down a relevant word to the day, and then we would talk and just interact for a period of time, and then I would sing a song called Take Good Care of Each Other, and we'd say goodbye.
Yeah. And so, has your career, you said that you started off in like other music, so you haven't always been predominantly children's music or children entertainer?
No. And I still don't think of myself as a children's entertainer. Enough. I have certainly youthful exuberance. I like the fact that I am able to be vulnerable and playful with people, child, adult, grandparent, parent, whatever. It's about being open and engaging is the spirit that I bring to the table, and that's very much what children are all about. As we get older, we tend to start putting up our blocks and defenses along the way. I'm pretty much defenseless as it goes. So often I'm thought of as a more youthful, younger entertainer, but I draw energy from the audience, no matter what age they are, and I engage them and encourage them to participate with me. That is, a critical part of what it is that I do, and it's carried me for these many years. I enjoy the creative process. I think I'm off the question here a little bit.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah, it's been. I had no idea how it would unfold. Ultimately, when it began, it was, well, here I'm doing that. I'm being open. I'm trying to relate to whatever audience I have. Certainly in the beginning, the audiences were. I played a lot of the songs that I grew up with in the '60s, the Cat Stevens and Gordon Lightfoot and the Beatles, of course. So I developed a repertoire of songs that would work in a variety of situations, and then my work moved into the recording for children, for families, and then I would draw songs from my background. So there's tunes that I bring to the table that you would not consider, that nobody would have thought of as songs for children. Things like Ghost Riders in the Sky, or or Happy Feet, 1930s swing tune. So the music is very broad, it's very vast. To sing songs for children, for families, it doesn't have to be a little 3-chord thing. It can have the complexity of any type of music that you could possibly imagine, and it's just a matter of bringing that open energy to it. So here's a song that I really like, and I want you to help me with it, and then the audience feels engaged and connected.
And that engagement is so huge, right? You're always wanting to constantly have people engaged in the moment and take that away with them.
It's a dialogue. I consider my shows to be dialogues between myself and the child, myself and the parent, and ultimately the parent or the caregiver and the child will continue that dialogue as they leave a performance. So it is about that triangular connection with humanity.
Mm-hmm. So my show is called North of 35, Latitudes and Attitudes, and North of 35 is about aging. Really, is what the 35 represents, because I turned 40 and I started
I'm double north of 35.
You could be north of 70. And so they always focus on people that are usually in their 30s before retirement. Obviously, you're not retired because you're still performing at festivals all the time. Your name's always out there. So tell me, you kind of told me some of your story since you turned 30. What do you think your biggest accomplishments are since you turned 30?
Oh, prior to 30, I was not married. I did not have children. Since 30, I've had a whirlwind career. My personal life was children. My creative world was 30, about that time.
Mm-hmm.
Is producing 13 CDs over the last number of years, doing almost 1,000 episodes of the TV series I mentioned, Fred Penner's Place. A number of books have been part of it, and of course the constant sporadic touring in every corner of North America. When my series Fred Penner's Place was airing in Nickelodeon or in the United States through Nick Jr., that opened up the channel to playing a lot of American festivals, and I was the first family entertainer to play the Universal Amphitheater in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And the mayor then, I think it was Mayor Daley, he proclaimed, because the links have it, he proclaimed May the 12th, 1990 as Fred Penner Day in Los Angeles. So I've got a plaque that says that.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I've accomplished a lot of stuff in this since my 30s, and I think I would do something, people would like what I did and the way I approached it, and then they would come to me and say, well, how about trying this, or maybe do that. 3 years ago, I was the host for the Polaris Music Awards in Toronto, which is a huge, prestigious indie direction music award. Sort of rivals the Juno Awards in some regard. So I'm being looked upon in roles of master of ceremony, early childhood conferences. I do keynote addresses. I've performed with every major symphony orchestra across the country in that time. So it's a huge body of work.
And it's not really ending. Like you're just describing 40 years of what has happened since you turned 30,
yeah.
And you're not
I'm
not slowing down.
I'm not finished yet here. No, I mean, who knows where it'll go. My personal life has gone through full transition. I've been divorced for over 5 years. I've remarried. My wife and I are just loving life and enjoying the direction it's going, and finding lots of time for R&R. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be on Vancouver Island.
Love Vancouver Island.
Just hanging out there for a while. So life is full and busy and good and exciting and full of adventure. I think that was a huge part of it. As you get older, sometimes you think, well, maybe it's time just to sort of slow down and pack it in. But I'm not ready to stop discovering.
No. And what I'm hearing from you is that you definitely have a very open personality. What other qualities do you think you possess that you've been able to reach all these accomplishments?
I'm confident. I'm very self-confident.
Were you always that way?
No. I mean, in my teens, you know, I was insecure. I used to bite my nails down to the quick. You know, I think everybody goes through insecurities, and then you start to discover the values that people give you encouragement to do things that make you feel stronger and more positive about yourself. And I found, certainly through music, that the value, I understand deeply the value of music in humanity. My mantra is never underestimate your ability to make a difference in the life of a child. And that's key to what I do. I have, other qualities that I think I bring to the table is I am very respectful of others. I do not condescend to, you know, when I'm speaking, regardless of the age of the person, you know, certainly to children. Often people who are working with children, there's a level of condescension that seems to happen because there's a sense that because they're smaller, they don't understand as much. But I think it's sort of a reverse thing. Kids really are much more intelligent than we sometimes give them credit for. So accepting, understanding, respectful, honest, caring, positive. I've always been a very positive person. I am optimistic, as bizarre as that may seem in this time of life. I'm a loving person. I like myself, and I think it all starts there. If you like who you are, then you can bring that to the table to share with others.
I'm sensing, and I don't normally talk to people about that, but I'm sensing you have a source of spirituality behind you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I was raised a Protestant, you know, Christian ethic. My parents are from Mennonite background. We didn't follow the Mennonite church per se, but my older sister is Baptist. She was married to a Baptist minister. She's devoutly in the Baptist world. I've not followed that path. I'm more, if anything, more in the Buddhist direction.
Yeah. I can feel it from you. So that's why I'm like, I'm just going to ask, right?
I believe in all religions. I believe in all spirituality.
Yeah.
I believe in that the bottom line is there is one truth in the whole package. It's do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Mm-hmm. The golden rule is universal, and it's being so perverted now. It's very scary and frustrating, and it hurts. It hurts a lot when I see these things going down. I really can't imagine how people are so filled with greed and hate and anger and mistrust. It's because I find it personally so easy to say, hey, what's happening? Where are we going? What's going on? You know, and then, you know, yeah, it's very frustrating to see the way people are hurting each other.
It hurts. It hurts me.
It hurts me.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah. It hurts, right? And we all gotta believe that the love is gonna get us through this, and that, you know, the way I've always said it is I believe in spirituality. I support religion because I believe that people need to believe in something bigger than themselves.
Yeah. No, I believe that's true. There are so many things that have happened, I mean, for me in my life that are not, you wonder how does that work? How does that fit into a framework? You know, things that have given me such delight and excitement and bliss and touch my heart so deeply that those feelings are not just, you know, simple hedonistic things. They go deeper. They're in another level of humanity.
It gets into the consciousness. It's that stuff that's inside. There's have you heard of the Virtues Project?
Oh, I think I have.
It's Canadian. It's beautiful, and they make these cards. And like, I feel like I say that, you know, it's like the core root that's in every single one of us is those virtues of humanity. It doesn't matter your color, your religion, financial, anything like that. It's that deep stuff, right?
Yeah, and digging that, finding a way to bring that forward and to share it with the people around you, and to lose your guard a little bit. I think as we get older and the responsibilities of life start heaping upon us, and the greed of society weighs really heavily, where you work 2 or 3 jobs and you can't make ends meet. That's just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And so finding the way to discover your personal balance, you know, and I think one of the things with, you know, that is really important to me was a key element in developing Fred Penner's plays, the TV series, was children need a place to chill. They need a corner of their room, somewhere in the backyard.
An adult needs a safe place too.
Exactly.
We all need that safe place.
And because things accelerate so completely out of control, if you know, it's the immediacy. I want to call me, you know, tick, tick, tick. It's all right there, and people are demanding that you respond now. And if you don't allow yourself time to pull back, to meditate, to find a corner of your room, of your life, and say, no, that can wait. I'm going to think about that. I'll let that sit for a bit. I'm going to go and just have a cup of tea, you know, and just contemplate that flower over there for a while.
Yeah.
And then I'll breathe, and I'll come out, and then I'll start again. But finding that balance for all of us is really critical. But if kids learn that, you know, at the base, I mean, that's a huge part of what I think is, if the child learns fundamentally those patterns when they're beginning, then it'll carry through into adulthood.
Well, and that's why I think it's great that emotional intelligence is coming into the schools at that whole developmental age. True. Because, like, nobody told me how to deal with my emotions, or what is this?
Yeah.
Right? And so to be able to have that ability to have that language, and be able to share.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you need to go to, when you feel this, what is this? Okay, I can identify it. Now I need to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do with it? Okay, well, then we go to that safe place, wherever that is.
Yeah, and children are totally prepared to go there.
Yeah.
You know, I think often we push them away. Oh, no, don't cry. It's okay. Don't cry.
Yeah.
You know, we don't immediately acknowledge an emotional response to something and say, what happened there? What are you feeling really? Mm-hmm. And encouraging that process of speaking about your emotional state, what you're going through.
Yeah.
And it's such a very, very important part of human development, and not everybody can do that.
I guess that completely leads into my next question is, how do you overcome fear and negative thinking?
That's life. That's a lifetime. I mean, I still am fearful of things. I still, negative thoughts creep into my being, and I mean, learning to recognize them when they come in. That's part of it. It's, whoa, really? Why was that? Where did that thought come from? You know, so you see it, you recognize, say, oh, that's not what I really feel. It's not what I really think. I think often, you know, through the therapeutic process, going back and doing some discovery of the inner family, And often, people talk about the inner child, and that's one specific thing. But as you go through life and you suddenly react to something, like where did that reaction come from? And you start looking back and say, oh my goodness, first relationships in my early 20s, this is the kind of person I was, this is something that happened that is now being triggered, as you reach adulthood. And it's knowing those connections with the other phases of your life. And that not everybody can do that. And that is, I think, the essence of a therapeutic process.
Mm-hmm.
And I love doing that. I love spending time thinking about that, and because then it gives me tools to deal with life at another level.
Yeah, for sure. You just triggered something in me, whereas like I've known for a long time that I don't do well when people cancel appointments or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember once I had said to some of my girlfriends, I'm like, I'm gonna let you know that I really don't do well with this, and I know where it comes from.
Yeah.
So because I know where it comes from, if I can at least explain to people where it comes from, and I'm sorry if I flip out, but I need to, like, and now it's to the point where I don't do the little flip out thing.
Yeah.
But to know where your triggers are and where they come from is like essential.
Yeah, it really is. And it takes a long time to get to that point of allowing yourself to do that discovery, because that requires vulnerability.
Huge amount of vulnerability.
Vulnerability is, people can view that as a negative thing, because then you are susceptible to the challenges of people around you. But being vulnerable is a positive, because then it makes for a stronger spiritual connection.
Yeah.
And a deeper spirituality. But it takes work, and it never ends.
It's an onion.
Yeah.
You just take a layer off, you cry a little bit, you're raw, everything's all strong, and then you think you're good, and then you take off another layer.
Yeah, peel the onion.
Peel the onion.
And it never, you never, it's never complete.
You never graduate from it.
No, it's a constant job. One of the discussions I had once was in humanity, in life, there's like 30% of the things that you do are solid, are comfortable. You know how to do basic things. You know how to figure certain things out. The other 70% are the unknowns, are challenges that happen from family, from friends, from
the world.
Who knows, from the world.
The world.
And it's how you deal with those that make the difference.
Yeah.
And if you're not prepared to be given this devastating perspective that comes from the rest of the world, if you don't have some kind of compassion or understanding or sympathy or empathy, hopefully, to deal with that, then you start. Then it just goes in deeper, and you lose self in the path.
Amazing. What a great Sunday conversation we're having right now. I love this. And I love it. I don't think we're going to end anytime soon, and that's good too. But
I do have to get my nap in.
You do have to get before the next show, and I got to film your next show. So the question is, to the world, what would be your one piece of advice to the world?
Well, pay attention. Be aware. Really see the things around you for what they are. Don't get so introspective that you lose sight of what's going on around you. And that's, we're in such a narcissistic planet now. Greed is one of my biggest things, because the businesses in this world, the people are always trying to get more and more and more and more, and some people have way more than they would ever need. Businesses have lost perspective on how to really take care of their employees, because they're trying to make more money. The bank, and I'm totally off on a rant here, but the bank systems have perverted the entire planet, I think, because of the credit system.
Well, I would love to get into that whole, and that's a North American thing. Like, I've traveled around the world, and the North American system of how debt is just a normal thing nowadays.
Yeah.
And it starts right when you get out of high school. Oh, like, how many people are driving brand new cars as soon as they get into college?
Yeah. If you can't afford it, don't buy it.
And I mean, I've played into it just like anybody else, but it's ridiculous. Like, I've talked to other people, I'm like, you can get a car, and we're going to give you some money back, but really they're adding it onto your whole thing. And then we've got our student loan system, and then once you get to the student loans, well, now we need a mortgage.
It's all about debt.
And then
and the percentage of payback is where it goes crazy. To do 18, 19, 20 plus percent, on your credit card, and they drag you in.
And let's up your credit because you need more money.
Yeah, we'll give you more money. Exactly.
I didn't ask for it. I actually don't want it.
And then they have the gall to post their earnings and say, "Look at us, we're doing so well for our shareholders."
Which is supposedly us, right?
And all that money is coming straight off the backs, a strip at a time, from people who don't know who can't handle the system.
And we've got people that are dying from famine out there.
Yeah, no, it's there's huge perversion, and I don't know how that's going to be resolved. But the greed factor is need and want. Put those in perspective. What do you really need in this world to survive, to be happy? My mother, she passed away about 10 years ago. She went through the Depression. She said that was the happiest time of her life because everybody had nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody had anything. We were all in the same boat. And I thought I get that.
Well, and I just took my 11-year-old nephew to Europe for the first time he's ever got, and one day we were running out of money going up to Sintra in Portugal, and so the next day we had all this, got cash transferred over, and we had cash again, and he honestly looked at me in the eye and he said, "Auntie, I liked it better yesterday when we didn't have money." Because it was fun.
Yeah.
We're bringing out our change and we're counting it, like, are we going to be able to make it back to our hostel? And we had to really think about what was important for that day. Okay, we need food and transportation. He's 11 years old.
Yeah, smart guy.
Smart kid.
I am hoping that some of that will, because there's that talk, that this dialogue is constant.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that the kids are gaining a good perspective on that, so that by the time they get to adulthood, they have a little better handle on it.
You don't need everything new. You don't.
No, exactly.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up. And you told me that you're off to Vancouver Island. I'm curious which one, but what other future plans do you have?
Future plans? Oh, lots. As I said, I've remarried in the last while. My wife and I are having a beautiful life together. Lots of travel, lots of wonderful moments together. And from a creative point of view, I've got lots of touring that's coming up. Next year I'm doing an early childhood conference in Edmonton, and I'm delivering a keynote address there, so I'm very excited about that. And there's a high potential for doing a movie next year.
Wow!
Don't have a working title yet, but it's, basically I'll be playing a grandfatherly-like character who lives on a farm and has animals, and a young lady who's having some challenges in her life comes into his world, and they find some kind of some things that they can do together that make them both stronger. So,
can I ask a question about the movie part? Because obviously that's a script. When you guys were doing Fred Penner's Place on CBC, was there always a script, or was some of it just kind of ad lib, fly by the seat of your pants?
A lot of it was like that.
Because you had, I can't imagine.
Yeah, in the beginning, we did, in the first season, we did 96 episodes in 6 months. And that was just, here's some songs, I learned the songs, the band learns the material, I come through the log, it's high, grab the guitar, go over here, do something, over here, do something. So it was conceptual, not say this, say that.
Yeah.
But then as things progressed, and different people came in, there was deeper writing. So it was going to points. It was trying to create the moment. So it was more like a film shoot where previously we would just start going until we stop, and then we'll find a pickup point and continue. But then it got to, okay, we're going to do like a 3-minute segment, that's all. You get a tight opening, tight closing, that's done. And we'll do this one. So it became much more film style. But I've done lots of theater and acting over the years, musical comedy, serious stage drama, radio drama. So I've got that whole perspective of understanding when it comes to being on stage. I think that's one of the qualities that I bring to the stage as well, is because I have a theatrical background, I'm aware of the audience in a very very clear way. So the person at the back of the theater feels as close as the person in the front, because I'm relating. I said, to someone there, I'll point them out. I'll say the person with the umbrella back there, whatever. It's so there's that sense of inclusion through a performance. But so the future is wide and unknown. The concerts will continue. The festivals will continue sporadically. Hopefully, this film project next year will work out. And beyond that, who knows? This life is an adventure.
And whatever that life is in this life or in the next life, who knows, right? So thank you very much, Fred. I am so honored, like I said, to finally get to meet you. We talked that we have some mutual people, and they've said such amazing things, and now I understand even more why. It wasn't just what I got to see growing up on my 2 channels in Canada.
Yeah,
CBC was one of them, so I watched you.
Tears like pouring rain.